And I'm going to get you your email account, you your email account, Larry, your email account, because Phyllis, you have them all set up, right? I just need to activate them. So this is the Google Apps class. And the starting point is this. 50% of the jobs that are going to exist in 20 years do not exist today. 20 years from now, this concept of self-driving cars is going to be like the concept of cell phones was 10 years after everybody had one. You know, people are going to forget what it was like before cell phones. And you might remember life before microwave ovens. Okay.
They had microwave.
Do you remember life before microwave ovens? Okay. So I think I was like 12 when the first microwave ovens came out. And that was a big deal. Before microwave ovens, cooking was far, far different than it is today. But now nobody would even think about before microwaves, just quickly heating stuff up. And a big thing back then was TV dinners that you had to put in the oven. Jiffy Pop popcorn, not the bag popcorn. Okay. Life was very different. Life was very different before cell phones. Before cell phones, everybody carried around a little, before pagers, but everybody had a little notebook, a day planner, a calendar. You have people's addresses and phone numbers in it. You go to a business meeting, everybody would take out their little address book and they had some really nice ones and et cetera. Now nobody does that anymore. People are not buying wristwatches to tell time anymore. They're now jewelry. 20 years from now, this thing about self-driving cars is going to be, people aren't going to remember life before driving. And a whole bunch of jobs are going to disappear. What's not going to disappear, though, is eating food in restaurants where people go for the atmosphere and the social thing. Fast food will probably be replaced with just an automated thing. You walk in, there's nobody there, and it's just really fast, really inexpensive, and probably still very salty, a lot of fat, and a lot of sugar. Probably that. It's just, before you get there, your phone is going to order the thing. You're going to go to drive up. You're not even going to get out of the car. You're not going to park. It's going to know it's your car. 10 cars will be in line, and when you get up to the window, they're going to know exactly which bag to give people. It's going to be different. But
you're talking the Jetsons.
I'm talking in 20 years, and you know how fast time goes, right? So, but there's still going to be the place where people want to go socialize with friends. And we're lucky that we have Fifth Avenue Restaurant Group supports the magazine, believes what we're doing, and wants to create a management training program. And the good thing is they want veterans. And because the owner is a veteran, he wants to help out veterans. But more than that, he wants people he can depend on, people that know how to take an order, people that can learn to give orders. And so this is a great career opportunity. So, and we happen to have empty seats in the front row. So that's why they're in the front row. For everyone else, it's the same. The future is going to hold the same for everyone else. The problem is a lot of the properties where Fifth Avenue Restaurant Group is, the properties will not let them hire people who have a criminal record. But Bonanno said if somebody is a veteran and has a criminal record, I can find a place for them, even though some of the properties might say no. He has enough places that he can do it. And so this class is to talk about stuff that you need to know, because for everyone else, the future is coming. We have to be able to communicate with computers, and it's still typing. It's not voice today, it's typing today. But so you have to know how to type, and you have to focus on getting at least 35 words per minute. Because if you can't do 35 words a minute, you can't type. If you can do 35, then you should shoot for 65. But just because you can type, are you going to get a job?
No.
No. Why not? Why not?
Somebody's smarter than you. There's plenty of typists who can type.
Yeah, everybody knows how to type. You're competing with people who know how to type and been doing it for a long time. You have to know how to type. Just because you can type, it doesn't mean you're going to get the job. You have to know Office, meaning word processing, spreadsheets, things like that. Are you going to get a job just because you know that? No. Why?
There's a lot of people.
Because everybody else that's applying knows that too. People are going to be interviewed all know that. So you have to know something they don't know. And this is just as applicable for people working in the restaurants with Bonanno. And what is that thing that we teach people, or we don't teach, we help people learn? What is that thing we help people learn that is an advantage over everyone else? The cloud. Okay, the cloud. All businesses are moving to the cloud. Nobody out there knows how to use the cloud.
But you say the cloud?
Yeah, cloud. 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 Okay, and the best way to think about the cloud, how it's changing everything, is to think back 100 years ago. So Larry, 100 years ago, how, let's say, just to make it easy, 110 years ago, how was beer delivered to taverns?
Horseback.
Horseback.
Walk.
The beer walked. How was it delivered?
You rode a horse, you walk.
Okay, so how about a horse-drawn wagon?
Okay, here you go.
Okay,
Wagon.
they probably didn't have barrels on the horse, right?
Right.
Okay, but maybe in some places up in the mountains they did. But so you had to have horse-drawn wagons, right?
Yeah.
Now, what happens if you're a guy that just got out of learned to be an engine mechanic and you applied to work at one of those places? This is called a thought experiment. Okay, what would happen to you?
Overqualified, yes.
Okay, so you walk in and you apply for a job to work on, you say, here's my certificate, I just graduated from engine. I'm a mechanic. I just graduated yesterday. And they said, well, we deliver beer with horse-drawn wagons. Any interest in you?
Not at the most moment at that moment.
Correct. Right. The day you walk in, but the day you walk in, they say, we don't need you. Who's very important in that company regarding delivering beer?
Veterinarians, I guess, for the horses.
Well, the people who take care of the horses, right? The guys who drive the horses.
To load the horses up.
Yeah, people who do that are very important. Now, what happens to those people the day after that company buys their first trucks? Who's now important?
The person that showed up with the certificate.
Exactly, yeah. And that's where we are today regarding the cloud. All businesses are moving to the cloud. Now, they might not know it. A lot of businesses in 1910 said, cars are too unreliable, trucks are too unreliable, they're not going to last. We know that the horse is going to show up for work tomorrow and it's going to do its job. We can't hire people. There's not enough mechanics out there. These things are not reliable. Horses have been around for 500 years, for 1,000 years, for 2,000 years. Horses have been around. They're going to be around for the next 50 years. That's what some people said in 1900. Okay, how many people deliver beer with a horse-drawn wagon today? Would you guess in this country?
None.
None. Not even Budweiser with the Clydesdales, right? Okay. So we're at this interesting point in history where there's a new technology that has now, just like engines, it's now giving people who don't have experience advantage over people who do. What you have to do is learn it, and you have to be able to articulate. So when you're in your interview and somebody says, why should I hire you? The second thing is because I'm going to take you, I know the cloud and I can help you get there. What's the first thing?
I can make you money, or I can.
I'm going to make you more money than anyone else applying for this job. I'm going to make you more money than anyone else. You have to say it with conviction. Because why are they in business? To make money. That's why they're in business. So they're hiring people because they want to make more money. So the cloud is the thing that we do, and so we have 8 applications. So the new people, what I want you to do is go to a blank piece of paper, like around page 15 or something, in your composition book. Did you get a composition book? Okay, good. This composition book is your reference manual for life. This is not a thing to use here and throw away. What you want to write notes on is stuff that you're going to want to go back and revisit. Oh, I remember that. We did that class and, whatever, with this TED Talk. I like that TED Talk. Who was it? I don't remember, but I have my book. Okay, so I want everybody to draw. Everybody should have this, right? Okay, so draw a big X on on the right side. On your books, only use the right side page. Don't use the left. The left is for when you go back and you review your notes. That's what the left side is for. Okay, so we're taught the wrong way to do it in school. This is the right way to do it. So draw a big X on the right side page, and we'll start with Theo. What is one of the cloud apps we studied, Theo? Okay, now, we want to break the habit of starting sentences with "a." Most communication is nonverbal. Even though "a" is a verbal sound, when somebody says what does that connote? What does that imply? Yeah, they're not prepared. They have to think about it. You want to be the person that has the answer. Or as they say in prison in California, choose your next words very carefully. Okay? So when somebody asks you a question, be prepared. Yeah, don't say, okay, Jesus. Next. Marty. Gmail. Aretha.
On YouTube.
YouTube. Okay, then when you have those 4, do another one so you now have an asterisk. And Deanna.
Chrome.
Chrome. And what do we say about Chrome?
Is a program.
Yeah, it's not really an app, so we draw a box around it so that other people know that we know it's not really an app, it's a program. Mike.
Google Drive.
Drive, okay, good. Ed, voice. Voice, good. And let's see, Matt.
Google Plus.
Google Plus. And the other one is. Okay, so these are the 8 apps that we help you learn here. They have a lot more than 8 apps, but these are the 8 Google apps that we do here. We do 1 a week, and this week we're doing maps. We do 1 a week, and this isn't really teaching. This is to have a structured program to help you learn. We don't really focus on teaching here. There's only 2 classes that are front of room. So in teaching, there's front of room, there's over the shoulder. So most of our stuff here is over the shoulder, which means it's at your own pace. If you have a question, you're supposed to ask somebody near you, not me. Don't ask me, please. Don't ask me. You can ask Phyllis, but the best thing is to ask somebody around you. And the reason is we use a Navy SEALs training technique called do one, learn one, teach one. So the first time you do it, and all you're doing is what somebody tells you, there's almost no retention. If somebody says, hey, how do I do that? Right, so we'll do the click here, do that, whatever. There's not a lot of retention. So do one, learn one is when you actually can do it. But when you get to the teach one, when you're showing someone else, that's when you actually learn the most. And so why do you think Navy SEALs do this approach to learning? Any veterans have an answer?
Well, because your buddy is going to save you, you're going to save him. You both have to have the skills to help each other.
You need to know that he knows what to do, right? And they do highly dangerous missions. So they have to be highly trained, and your life is in the other guy's hands. So if you teach him and he's teaching and everybody knows, now you know, we know how to do this. So if I say, go do that, you know how to do it. So one exercise, for example, the Navy SEALs used to do, they don't do it anymore because it's too dangerous, is boarding a submarine in the middle of the night without the submarine stopping. How do they do that?
Well, I
In the
assume
freezing ocean.
they have a dinghy and they'd say,
No.
okay, they'll jump from a helicopter. And
Start with they're in the water.
all right, they're in the water. And I assume they're just going to take a rope or something and try to throw it over the periscope. And hopefully we're above the water.
Well, so the ship is above the water, the submarine with the tower is above the water, and you have one SEAL over there and another SEAL over there, and they're holding a rope
just grab it.
between them.
Yeah, just try to catch
So the submarine goes between the two, and then what happens to the rope?
it. Get pulled with the
Yeah, and then they have to pull themselves to the thing. They don't do it anymore because too many people died. And if one guy lets go of the rope, what happens to the other guy?
Once the stock goes down under.
Well, that part isn't going to happen, but you have to count on the other guy knowing exactly what to do, right? Because if he doesn't do his job, you're dead too. And then there's this other thing you have to worry about called the propeller. Okay, so that's what. So it's very. So we do that for two reasons. One is because this is open, enrollment, so people are coming every week, and we don't want to stop the class to get everybody up to the same speed. So the other thing is when you say to somebody, I'm going to help you get to the cloud, you have to feel comfortable telling people you don't know what to do. Because what's human nature? You go to work in a new company, they all know each other, nobody knows you, but you're supposed to be there to teach them something. And so what do we start doing? We start looking at somebody and saying, he's not receptive, that guy's an idiot. I wasn't pointing at you, I was just pointing at the door. Okay, you start judging people before knowing them, and at the end you say, well, I can't teach anybody here. Nothing happens. When you get used to helping strangers learn how to do stuff, you don't even think about it. It's just like on Fridays, by a certain week, everybody doesn't have a problem getting up here doing a YouTube interview live. So that's why we do one, learn one, teach one. And these are the 8 Google apps that we do. You have to learn them. We don't teach. We just have a structured thing to help you learn. But it's very much a use it or lose it. So
You say Google app or Google Map?
app. Well, this week we're doing maps. And these are the apps that all businesses can use. Now, does anybody here not know what email is? And see, everybody knows that when you go in for your interview, you have to be able to say why this is different than the way they do email. Maps, everybody knows Google Maps, right? Except there's things about Google Maps that people don't know. So that's the thing to talk about. So these are the 8 apps that we do. And we go through them one a week. So we'll go through them twice for everybody. And for you guys, the idea is that after 8 weeks, if you've gotten to a certain level of proficiency, after 8 weeks, then you start going to school at the restaurant. It starts out as an internship, which means it's free. But once you can demonstrate to them that you've passed the learning point, they're not going to try to get free labor. It's a very kosher company. And they'll pay you. But in the beginning, you're there to learn. Instead of sitting in here learning theoretically, you're in the restaurant learning reality. This is how it works. And they're deciding, do we like this person? How can the person learn? Is he going to fit into our culture, etc.? So within 4 weeks, they get to either decide that they're going to start paying you as an extern, or they say pass. This person is not going to fit. We don't want that because it makes us look bad. We don't want them to say we don't like that person because we don't want them to start thinking the program's not good. And then you have an intent to hire, and then you have a full-time position on a management track. Why would a restaurant care about these apps? Why would Fifth Avenue Group care?
That's what they're going to.
All businesses are moving to the cloud. How does a restaurant use the cloud?
You use for advertisements.
Okay, advertising. How else? How about ordering food?
Communication,
How about ordering food? How about training?
meetings,
Okay, meetings. How about training? Training videos. Maps has a feature that most people don't know about called Inside View.
points where they can get together and be, even though they're in different places.
Okay,
They can
right.
still-
Okay, so hold on to that. So Maps has a thing called Inside View. If you own a restaurant, wouldn't it be cool? Would it be worse or better for people to be able to see what it looks like on the inside of your restaurant to decide whether to go have dinner there? And in the future, that's going to be live or on demand. Right now, it's a preloaded thing. You can go and see what the inside of the place looks like. Voice is Google's free telephone service, which does a lot of things that other phone services don't do, like gives you a record of every call. So if you have somebody calling, you say to somebody, call these 50 places, guess what you can do? You can see exactly if they called those places and how long the call lasted. But the thing that's the biggest is it has unique greetings for callers. So it's kind of like caller ID. But depending upon who the caller is, they hear a different message. So you use this app here, connect it to that, and you put people in something called a circle, right? What's a circle? Who remembers what a circle is? It's coming through Google+. It's just a collection of people. It's called a circle. So you put people in a circle. So you would create a circle, say your best customers. If you're a restaurant, you create a circle that is vendors, suppliers. So if a vendor calls, they get a unique voice message. Hey, thanks for calling. Can't take your call right now. Call me on my cell phone. If it's a vendor, you might want them to call you on the cell phone, right? I'm busy right now. I can't take the call, whatever. Or you could have a circle that just has one company, like say Southern Wine and Spirits, your liquor supplier. You put your message in there. So when they call, it's, hey, Joe, Southern Wine and Spirits, I can't take your call right now. Here's the order. Here's what we need. Now you don't have to waste time going back and forth or sending an email. Just leave a message. When he calls your number, the same number, your phone recognizes, oh, that's the Southern Rep guy. Here's the message. If it's a best customer, you might have a message on it that says something like, okay, you're one of our best customers. We can't take your call. Tell me exactly what you want me to do, and we'll get it done. If you want a bottle of wine sitting at the table, already opened, you want your favorite table, whatever you want. So just imagine now you go into a nice restaurant, and they say, oh, good, Mark, you're here. Great. We have your table ready. And you bring your person over, and the wine is already there. Statute of Liberty ordering wine for you. It's already there. It's being chilled. It's open. Whatever. How's that going to make you feel? Good. Yeah. Okay. That's all possible with this. Okay. So, but this week we're doing Maps, and it's just part of our rotation. What did we do last week? Who remembers? Chrome. Right. We did Chrome last week. What is Chrome? That does what?
Incorporates all of the Google stuff.
Okay. What is it? What is Chrome called? Google's
Search
browser. Google's browser. So Chrome is Google's browser. It's like Internet Explorer. Okay. Now, Maps. What was the assignment today on Maps? What were we going to do on Maps? Who read the assignment?
Three-layered,
Three layers.
personal.
Okay, so we kind of did that yesterday, right, Phyllis? Okay. So here's the great thing about Google Maps, and Google Calendar, and some of the other Google apps is that you can have multiple maps stacked on top of one another. So you can turn them on or off. And how many layers is it right now where you can have? 3, right? That was last year. I think it's up to 7 now. Yeah. So you have a map, and you can have, again, let's say it's a restaurant. You have a map, and you might say, these are where our best customers live. And then you could have a layer on top of that, and it could say, these are where some other customers live. And you could have a layer on top of that, and it says, this is where our employees live. And you can turn on and off different layers at different times. So you could look at all 3 layers, you could look at 1 layer, you could look at 2 layers. So that helps make business decisions. So an example would be in this magazine that we do for the Italian American Club, there are about 750 members. So if we have a map of the 750 members, we're going to see most of them live in Las Vegas, but some of them live in San Francisco and other parts of the country. If we drill down on Las Vegas, on Clark County, we'll find there's a disproportionate number that live in Summerlin, a disproportionate number that live in Henderson, and other people are kind of scattered elsewhere. So having that information, publishing this magazine, where might we want to look for advertisers?
Henderson, some of them.
Yeah, would look where they have, where our people live. So if you're a restaurant, and we can go to the restaurant and say, here's why you should advertise in this magazine. Let's say you're an Italian restaurant in Henderson. We say, here's why you should advertise in this magazine. We can show them a picture of the map. So that's one of the great things about Google Maps is they're a great planning tool. Other things that we know is just as a map, right? So what are the different layers, or the different, not layers, the different views of a Google map? What's one level? One level. Huh?
Satellite.
Satellite. Okay, so you can kind of zoom in from the top. What's another view?
Street.
Street view. What's that look like?
It puts you like standing in the street and you can go in a circle. And
Yeah. Or drive down the street. There's a version of Street View now that you start here and you say, I want to go to San Francisco. And it shows you like you're in the car driving all the way. There's some dead spots in it, but it's kind of cool. There's another, yeah, well, you can speed it up too. So you can be going 1,000 miles an hour.
What are these maps?
Yeah, maps. Another view that they have on Google is what? What's another view?
Inside.
Okay, so inside view, like I talked about. What's another view they have?
Don't they have the one in the ocean where they can see the ocean?
Let's just say it's the same place.
Oh,
So it's the same spot. This place right here, you can look satellite. Inside. Street. Okay. There's the traffic map, right? That's the graphic. What's another view?
Well, there's timeline, you can see what weapon has.
Okay, yeah, the timeline. And right now, I think some places go back like 7 years. So you can click on it, you can see what did this place look like 7 years ago. And we did that for where the school used to be on Fremont and 7th Street. Does anybody know what Fremont and 7th Street looks like? What?
Well, what it used to look like, what it looks like today.
Well, what do you think it looks like today?
Well, you've got the container park and new bars.
Okay, let's say Fremont and 8th. Not South.
Well, as you go down to Street Mountain 11th, let's say, you know, you get C.
No, it's just Fremont and A.
It looks like it's, I mean, it looks very good.
There's some residential.
Fremont and A, Ed, that's where you went to school. That's where the campus was.
I thought it was on Seventh.
Okay, the Western is on the east side of 8th, right? Okay,
There's still a motel across the street,
Western was.
Village Inn or something.
yeah, okay, so it used, what did,
That doggy park.
yeah, but what did it look like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, where the container park, not the container, yeah, it was strip mall type of rundown commercial stuff. Okay. And you could go on the timeline view and say, oh, 7 years ago it looked like this, 6 years ago, 4 years ago it was just a vacant lot. And now it has these mobile containers on it.
Screwed up.
Huh?
Yeah, all messed up now. I mean, I like it.
Okay, that says a lot about you. That might be one of the things that you say. That might be a thing you don't say out loud. Okay. So, all right. So, so maps isn't just a map. When you're talking about how the map can help somebody's business, it's not just about maps, but people think it is, and most people didn't know that. So, you know, people know this traffic because if you go on Google and you say, I want to get from here to there, what does it look like? The default view is this graphical view. You can do satellite if you have a little bit more time and you zoom in, and it kind of looks strange from the top because we start looking at buildings, not streets. Street view is kind of cool, right? Inside view is the new opportunity. That's the new opportunity to do things. And then the traffic view is getting very good right now too, because if you set an appointment, so if we go into so everybody go to your Gmail. And how do we get to Gmail? Jesus.
9 square grid.
9 square grid. Okay, so for the new people, when you're in a Google app, the best way to get to another one of these apps is this little 9 square grid here. Google has more than one way to do everything. We want to do things the most efficient way, and the way that's easiest to remember. So there's this 9 square grid. You click on that, and up comes the apps that we studied, and more apps. So we go into Gmail. And okay, so I'll just take this email here. Okay. Now, I could reply to that, but I'm going to go to the calendar. So I'm in Gmail, right? So this is how these apps work together. I'm in Gmail. I want to reply to this. Let's say it's from somebody I want to reply. So instead of hitting reply, I hit create an event. And that takes me to what? What did that take me to? I hit calendar. It takes me to the calendar. So I then do that. But one of the things on the calendar is it says where. So if I put in an address, I type in Larson Training Centers, it comes up with a place of where it's going to be. And when the person, when I hit send, because the people who sent it are going to get a copy of this, when they get it, this thing is active and they can click on it and it pulls up the map for them of how to get there. But one of the other things that's good about it is when you set the time of the meeting and your smartphone knows where you are, it tells you when you have to leave in order to get there on time. That's pretty cool, right? So if you have a 10 o'clock meeting and it's on your calendar So it's in your smartphone. So Google knows, okay, Ed, you have a 10 o'clock meeting over there, but because you have your smartphone on and your GPS is turned on, I know exactly where you are. So I'm going to let you know in advance when you need to leave to be there by 10, based upon traffic. Okay, that's how it is now. That's a very powerful tool, right? That's why in the future, when people want to go to fast food, you're going to be able to just say, yeah, want to go to Starbucks, and you place your order, and when you pull up to the window, they know who you are. You don't say, here's what I ordered. They already know because they're able to see your phone approaching. They know exactly where you are. So a cool feature in Maps is that with Google, they can tell you when you need to leave to be at a certain place at a certain time. That's the future today. And it's just going to keep getting better. So on a scale of 1 to 100, you know, where we are today is about a 5 in terms of what it's going to do. Okay, so in your books, on your notes for Google Map, one of the things you should have is different views or different maps. So map views. And you should know what each of these things means and be able to articulate. When you get into your interview, you want to know one of those 8 apps really well. So, because what you want them to say, this is how you want the conversation to go. They say, why should I hire you? Or what do you think you can do for this company? What do you think you add to the company? They're asking some question of you of, why do you think we should pick you? And your answer has to be the first answer out of your mouth is because I can make you more money than anyone else that's applying for this job. Or I will make you more money than anyone else. Now, if you're applying for an accounting position, you don't say making money, it's because then that could be illegal, right? You say, I can save you more money than anyone else, because that's a saving function, accounting, where virtually anything else is a make money, right? Because I can make you more money than anyone else. And then you want them to say something like, how? Tell me more. And you want to say, well, for example, the cloud. I can help you get to the cloud. You're going to get more customers and you'll be more efficient. And you want them to say something like, okay, what does that mean? And at this point, you need to have 2 apps that you really know. One that you really, really know, one that you really know. Why don't you need 3?
Should have them sold with those 2.
Well, you should have, if you did your job on number 1 and 2, they will be sold. But the other just pragmatic reason is that the interview is only for a certain amount of time. Okay, so they're not going to want to do it, and then you just have to be prepared. If they say, well, what's a 3rd one? Which nobody will. But if they did say, what is a 3rd one? To say, well, does that mean I have the job? And say, well, there's 8 of them, and we just need to figure out where you want to start. Or, you know, you shift it over. Instead of talking about what the other apps are, you now shift it to something else, like the job. Okay, so you should know one very, very well, and you want them to ask you. Maps is good, but it's bad. It's bad because people think they know what a map is. And we do. We know what maps are. But they don't know Google Maps. So you have to be, so if you say, well, for example, maps, you want to say that there's a whole lot, you want to start the conversation by saying there's a whole lot more to these cloud maps than other maps. So that's not saying the guy to start thinking what? Maybe he doesn't know, right, about maps. It's getting him set up for, okay. So there's more to maps than people don't know. And ultimately, you want to know about this. for a location inside view is key. So let's go to maps. How do we get to maps? This is how do we get to maps? 9 square grid, right. The answer almost always to a question that starts with how do we get to, the answer is almost always 9 square grid. Okay, so we go to the 9 square grid, we click maps. And what does the map look like? So what does your map look like, Jesus? Okay. If you zoom out, what's the center? Okay, so on mine, the center of the map is Larson Training Center. And then on my map, I have a lot of gold stars. Why do I have that? Does anybody else have a lot of gold stars?
You got stuff to your map.
Yeah, my basic map. How did I do that?
You customize it.
On here. So that map is synchronized because when you get your Google account, one Google account synchronizes all of these 8 apps. So if you do something on one of them, it brings the other ones in. Okay, so this is my map. This is my when I click maps, it comes to here. Now, what if I want to look at a map that I already have created? So how do you guys get to the maps that you created yesterday? Or how, for the new students, how do we create a map?
My maps.
Where's my maps number? I don't see it.
Go to
It says
the
my maps.
The three bar.
Huh?
Go to the 3 bar. No?
The 3 bar.
Yeah.
This 3 bar right here?
No, the other one to your left.
Over here.
Right there.
Okay. So some of the things that all of the Google, another reason we use Google is because a lot of the things in one app are the same function in another app. So you don't have to learn different systems. You learn one system. So up here, this one goes to settings in Chrome. Over here, this one goes to well, I guess it's sort of like settings in directory in Google Maps. So click on that. On the 3 parallel lines on the left. Or as Maurice would say, those 3 things. Okay? So go to the 3, click on that, and then what do you see? Okay, it says Google Maps, and it has satellite, it has traffic. Okay, okay, so where are we going to go to now? My Maps. Go to My Maps. So we click on that, and something like this should show up, but you probably don't have. Do you have any maps, Mark, in yours?
No, sir.
It's just the red. It says My Maps and it's blank. Yeah. Okay. So how do we create a map?
Which is great map.
Exactly. So here's the important thing to know, because what's always going to happen is people are going to say this is too complicated, too much stuff to remember. It's a lot to remember. But Google designed these for like a 4th grade level person. So when you start getting overwhelmed, just say, wait a second, this is designed for a 4th grader. I can do it, so the answer is on here somewhere. What people usually do is they spend 0.6 seconds trying to find something, and they say it's too hard, I can't do it. Okay, resist that impulse. Because they do their best. They have, I don't know how many people in Google work on maps, but I would not be surprised if Google employed 10,000 people that were working on maps for the whole world. That might be a small number. Maybe it's 20,000 people. And one of the things they're doing is making it easy for the other 3 billion people who use Google Maps to be able to use them. Because at the end of the day, that's what's key. So we click on Create Map. So for our 3 new people, let's create your map. In Google, a lot of things, so best practice is whenever doing anything with the app, start at the top and work your way down. Just get that as a habit. So if it's in Google Docs, Calendar, any of the Google apps that we do, and you have to start interacting with it, start at the top and work your way down, because that's probably how they designed it to work. And so, Larry, what is the first thing that you could possibly fill out on your map? What's the first thing that says, I'm asking you to do something here?
Untitled map.
Untitled map, exactly. So we click on Untitled Map, and what is this supposed to be called for people who've already done this?
EPW. And then date, right? Or your name and then
Your name.
Their name, okay? So for here, when you see something, and you'll see it on tests, on quizzes, what do these brackets mean? Tanika, what do these brackets mean? Thank you. Thank you, Tanika. Okay. Tanika, what do these brackets mean?
What he said.
No. Don't listen to him. You know, Ed was a student here. He graduated. He's come back. Okay, I'm sure you know. Okay. Jesus is looking down. What do these brackets mean? As opposed to this. Or as opposed to this. Right? Everybody knows this means something. These all 3 things mean something different, right? Okay, this is an easy one. What does this mean? Yeah.
as a quote, I guess, where someone speaks, that's what
Yeah.
they say.
Yeah, this is something you're repeating what somebody else said, or it's in quotes. He's a moron, in quotes. I'm not talking about you. Okay, what does this mean?
Because we use it all the time.
Or generally, like, it's further explanation of something. We're talking about this. This explains something else. For example, what does this mean? Math.
For
In
example,
Latin.
well, I don't know the Latin, I'm sorry. But basically, for example, or this.
That's EG. Okay,
Okay,
you're close.
I'm sorry.
Okay, you're close.
Definition.
Okay, so this literally is translated to id est.
It is.
Id est. That is. Okay, so this is explaining what came before, right? So if you see blah, 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 parentheses, i.e., what is behind that explains this here, right? We all know that. What does this mean?
You do put in what's inside.
Yeah, you change what's in there. In this case, is you fill in your name. Okay, and this is important because we do this on quizzes. And when I say this, your name, YouTube, something, whatever the rest of it is, a lot of people do this. Okay?
You eliminate the brackets.
You eliminate the brackets, right? So, you know, perception is important. So if you, when you're doing things, if you do this, people are going to think you're what? What's the first thought that comes to your mind? If you're at work and you do this as an example, what are people going to think of you?
You're smart.
You're smart. Okay? That's what they're going to think. Oh, this guy knows how to do it. So,
What the brackets mean.
do what's in the inside.
Its definition is. Elimination bracket. Names.
Okay, what would you do there? you replace that with the actual name. This is like a variable. Okay, whatever it says is what, replace this with whatever the instruction is there. Yeah, okay? Tuesday. You take away the brackets and you would put Tuesday. Okay, so, we're out of time. Let's quickly do the maps though. So everyone else who has their map, you can take break. For our other people, the map title is what? Your name, right? EPW, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, your name, so the three of you, where it says map title, put in your name, EPW. Okay? Yeah, full name. No, just your name, EPW. Okay, you should always put a description in because you're going to have this for 20 years, but we're limited on time you can come back and do it. Save the map. Okay, now, what's the first layer? You can go back and change it. Okay, so for people who were here yesterday, now what? What's layer? Okay, you now see where it says untitled layer? Okay, click on that. What's the first layer? Jesus, what's the first layer on your map that you filled in yesterday? Yeah. Okay, employment plan. Okay. Personal. Okay, so we're going to add 3 layers. Okay, do you have all 3? Do you have one of them? And how do we add a second layer?
Click add layer.
Add layer, right? Click add layer. Then you click where it says untitled layer, right? And then you type in personal, right? Personal. Save it. Add layer. Click on untitled layer. And you do school. So that's a map that has 3 layers. And then tomorrow we'll start adding to the layers. And so just a simple thing is,
Now does it automatically save?
yeah, so that's another thing. In Google, there is no save. It's always being saved when you're doing it. That's good. So if we went to the top layer and we wanted to add stuff to the top layer, we delete, uncheck the box for the other 2 layers. And then anything we did, we put in an address here of an employer that we wanted to work at. So let's say I said that would do. Okay, that's not the one. So, but I have that one here. That's not it. That's where they are. 7250 West Sahara. And then, so we type that in the Omni box. And then we do what?
Add map.
Add to map. And then it turned red, so we'll leave it at that. That's how easy it is to add things to maps. If I wanted to add something, and then you look over on the left, under employment planning, what does it say?
1750 West Sahara.
Yeah. Okay, now on personal, if I want to add something to personal, like where I live, so you should put in your address. This way. That's not going to add it right there. Let's add it. Other way. If I put in my address, I add it to the map. Oh yeah, they added it to the right. Okay. And so then I have something on my person. So if I zoom out on my map, I now have two places listed there, right?
Mhm.
There and here. And I see one there, one here. If I hover over 7250 Sahara, a little paint can opens up. And I can change the icon and the color. So now my map has a blue star and a red balloon.
Wait, how do you do that again?
Which part?
The changing the color.
Okay, so I hover over the address that I want. So I just put my pointer, and then you see to the right, there's a little paint can. I click on the paint can, and it lets me change the color or change the shape. Okay. Right. So it's cute with two. When you have 200 on there, it becomes indispensable, right? So you have a lot of different things, and we can use different colors to do different periods of time, like past, present, and future, or good and bad. Or if we're calling people, for a sales organization, we're calling people, we might have one shape that says, oh, star, that means it's a library. And I need to contact all libraries. I'm going to have the ones in blue I haven't contacted yet, and the ones in green that I have contacted, or the ones in red that I contacted them, but they're not interested. Right? So now, if I look at that layer and I have a bunch of stars on there that are different colors, I know even more information. Right? I know the status of it. So this becomes a very powerful tool. Okay, now with that, let's take a break.